Hi, I'm Katie Murray,
And I'm Andy Watts
and this is Undercover.
with INSTANDA.
Whether you're starting your day with us,
Or winding down your day, holding up a wine glass.
it's a great time to peek behind the curtain of the lives of insurance innovators. Who are they? What gets them up in the morning to revolutionize insurance? What makes them tick?
Brilliant. And today we're privileged to be joined by Michael Palace and A.B. Sultan, co-founders of Flow Flood Insurance. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. First of all, I think it's really super important for us to ask, how are you and your communities doing the wildfires in California right now?
Yeah, we're pretty far north. So where we live is about an 8-hour, 7-hour drive down to Southern California. But living here pretty much our whole lives, we have a ton of friends down there and friends in the industry, and know some people that are affected directly, know some people that are affected indirectly. So anytime there's a large scale disaster, we're kind of weather hunters, weather chasers. So when it's hurricane season, we're paying attention to hurricanes, and tornadoes, and fire season, we're paying attention to wildfire. So our heart always goes out to the folks that are impacted. It's a pretty big event, and we feel for everyone, certainly.
And you're feeling that you're past the worst of it, or what's the current circumstance?
Yeah, I looked this morning just to check. About 57,000 acres have been burned in total with the 4 fires, including San Diego. They're pretty much at 99 to 96% contained at this point. The worst for the fire part, yes. The worst for the folks that have gone through it, that could be settling in. The reality could be coming now, and going back to your site and where your home used to be, that could be the worst for those folks. So depending on who's looking at it from what angle. But yeah, the fire aspect, we're pretty much contained.
Yeah, pretty good.
And Andy, we actually had a similar fire in '91 up where we live. So still have some of those memories of driving through the areas that were burned and seeing just the chimneys and the Weber barbecues were the only things that were left. So you kind of like get that feeling, we have a lot of California pride, and so we're with them.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of colleagues and friends and people that are going to need some emotional support, because I think it's devastating, especially when you go back and you just see the chimney there, just the chimney in the middle of the plot, and everything else destroyed. But I mean, we get a bit of it on our news here, on our main news, and so it strikes us, the spirit of some of the people that immediately want to rebuild, get back, their positivity is kind of coming across. At the same time, how difficult it is as well, that we're getting to see that as well.
Yep, that's a good segue into insurance. It's like, this is where the rubber hits the road.
Just,
this is what we do. And I think that piece is lost a little bit, is, companies, agents, everyone should take pride, even tech partners should take pride when the checks are delivered, when the houses are rebuilt, when the people are living in temporary housing that's paid for. Like that's what we're all here for.
Yeah, it's been heartbreaking for sure. We wish we could have given them some rain during this time, which is in your avenue. So tell me a little bit about Flow Flood, and why did you start Flow Flood?
Well, we started an agency that Mike and I had called Stone Creek prior to Flow Flood. And at that agency, it was a preferred agency, all lines. We were generalist. And maybe 5 years prior to starting Flow Flood, we started seeing some of the writings on the wall with the tightening of the market in California. Some of the carriers were non-renewing parts of their book, and we were rewriting some of these clients. And the options, especially in California, were becoming diminished in terms of fire options for homeowners. And we had 2 offices. We had one in Washington and one in California. And flood and earthquake were a lead line of ours. We generated our leads with flood and earthquake. And Mike, I'll let you kind of get into how the lead started and kind of that pivot.
Yeah, so this is right when the tools were evolving that allowed you just kind of normal agency to digitally market. So you look at like Google AdWords and Bing AdWords back then, and you look at like the cost per acquisition on homeowners, and you look at the cost per acquisition on auto insurance. You're competing with everybody, right? You're competing with Geico and Progressive, and that's a non-starter. They've got the infinite budget. We started looking around some of these other niche lines that we wrote. Said, flood is like $1 a click, $2 a click. Earthquake is $2 a click. Like, we can write this stuff all day. And that's right around when the private market started evolving. There were some innovators in our space that had private flood programs, MGAs, before the Bigger Waters Act. And so when the Bigger Waters Act hit and private flood had to be accepted, they took off and saw that as an opportunity to start writing private flood, because it is not a product that was really well known at the time, especially on the West Coast. Agents really didn't enjoy writing flood because at the time the NFIP was pretty tricky at sometimes to get a quote, and the pricing was a lot better. So that's how flood kind of came about.
Right.
As AB said, the writing was on the wall. It became we just felt like we weren't able to do our job as brokers, which is finding coverage for our clients. So we said, okay, let's pivot out of this, and I think we can do this a little bit differently than some of our peers in the market. So we sold Stone Creek and went all in on flow.
That's awesome. Great story.
Yeah, it's an impressive kind of story. And obviously, when we started, we were talking about California and the fires. Obviously, with the climate issues, fires and floods appears to be kind of things that we're going to see more frequently. And being able to ensure people with the right types of products. And your story there is interesting in the sense that you initially working as brokers, you couldn't find the right type of product to provide, and so therefore you went off and created it. And tell me a bit about how the business evolved since launch, where you're at now and how things are going.
It's been a journey. It's been a great journey. It's been a journey that, we talked about. We wrote our goals down. What are our aspirations? And we had a 5-year journey, and we broke it down into segments. And, in anything as entrepreneurs, we have these huge dreams. And the way to accomplish these dreams is to break it down, as Mike says, into these segments that we can chew on and work on. And after a while, it becomes that dream. So it was really, the first step was to become Lloyd's cover holders.
Yeah.
So going to Lloyd's and becoming Lloyd cover holders, that was a big success, and that was a big hurdle. And from there, it was to get multiple markets to believe in us and see what our underwriting goals and guidelines are, and kind of what we want to do at that point with flood. One thing that we did different than what was out there is, instead of having one syndicate back us or we had a marketplace. We created a marketplace because as agents, we were going to 5, 6, 7 different carriers to get a quote. And then we're going to NFIP to get a quote. And Mike came and said, look, we need to create a marketplace. Right now, in order to get an auto quote or a home quote, we're going to a comparative rater, and we're inputting a risk once, and we're getting all these quotes. Why does this exist for flood?
And we were able to take that a step further, where it's not just a comparative rater. There are a lot of comparative raters out there, and some of them are great. It's a good avenue to go, but you can actually bind policies on our platform. So it's not just see a rate and shoot out to another platform. Everything lives in our platform. Quote, bind, issue, renew, endorse, cancel, but we don't like to talk about that one.
Yeah.
I know my days. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, the Lloyd's part of the equation. I understand recently you were in my neck of the woods. How was your visit to London?
Yeah, we go every year. It was awesome. So we spent a couple days in the South Downs. We did some mountain biking with our Lloyd's broker we have a great relationship with. So we did some biking, to kind of, what do you call it, pre-compress when you do it before your meetings? Pre-compress to get our minds right. So we got to see a new part. Who knew that an hour outside of city center is like lush countryside, and it's pretty cool. And then the meetings went well. It's evolved a little bit. So, the first time we went out there is just with this blissful ignorance, maybe, of going to these meetings and say, hey, believe in us. We don't have anything. How big's your book of business? It's 0. Do you have a platform? Not yet, but believe in us. And that was the tone that we had in those early meetings. But we've really developed great relationships with our Lloyd's partners. So we're still talking shop for sure when we're there, but it's like you're seeing friends, these people that we're doing business with, communicating with on a daily basis, and just seeing friends. And when we're there, we have fun too. So we went to we saw England play Ireland in a soccer match. We went to
very good.
We went to a play, we were living the life, and we stopped by INSTANDA HQ.
Yeah, terrific. This sounds like you had a kind of great. And how was the weather compared to home?
Yeah.
We had two different. So South Downs, beautiful. It was sunny. We couldn't have picked
Yeah.
a better time to go mountain biking. The ground was still dry. We got to London. The first day was cold. Second day it actually snowed. We woke up to a little bit of
lovely.
snow.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful seeing London Tower with a little bit of snow. And for anyone who hasn't been to London and you're in the insurance world, it is a must. I mean, there's something
Agreed.
about the liveliness of insurance in this 5, 6, 7 block radius
Right.
that so much happens and buildings are beautiful and it is all about insurance and it feels so good to be a part of that.
Yes, I would agree with that, Abby. I mean, it's incredible.
Mm.
So speaking of cycling, I hear, Abby, that you're an avid cyclist. How did you get into that? And yeah, tell me a little bit about that. That's impressive.
I appreciate it. Yeah, cycling's become this meditation for me. I've been doing
Yeah.
it almost every day, pretty much. So
Wow.
weekdays, I'll go at my lunch break, and it's evolving. Whereas weekends now, I have a group of friends, and we all go. I'm actually signing up tonight for a century ride on May 4th. So
Oh, nice.
that's going to be a huge goal that I've had for myself. And this one's got about 10,000 feet of elevation in it. So really, it's something that it keeps me away from the computer. My mind is free, and I'm getting very good exercise. And at the same time, I've lost about 45 pounds in the
Oh,
last
impressive.
year by doing this. And I want to kind of bring it into the insurance world too. So when we go to these events, we're always in meetings or always sitting to go on these bike rides with other friends in the industry. I think it is a great way to connect.
Yeah, no, that's great. Mike, are you as avid of a cyclist as AB is?
No, I jump on the bike. I have a bike.
Yeah.
I ebb and flow. So my exercise is kind of, I don't say flavor of the month, but different things, different times. So the one consistent thing is soccer. I play soccer. I
Yeah.
played
Oh,
soccer
brilliant.
since I was like 6. So I'm in, classic Sunday league. If you've ever seen it on YouTube or in person, just like
Yeah.
old guys getting angry with each other with some nice moments in between.
Yeah.
I like running. Running is kind of like AB said, it's meditative.
Yeah.
Like you just shut your mind down and go run. Hiking has always been a part of my life, and I've been pretty consistently going to yoga for good, I guess, over a decade now. So I'm a little more, do a little bit of everything. Sometimes like I won't go to yoga for half a year, but I'll be running a lot, and vice versa.
Yes.
So
Whatever
Yeah,
we can
that's
do to shut it down, right? And
yeah, that's, I
get
mean,
away from the screen.
exactly. That's what the complications are. Is we're a fully remote company, so that means
Yeah.
work is always accessible, and there's always work to do. So we have these guardrails on our time and our life, which we put in, but it's important just to clear the mind, cleanse the mind, and have a community outside, because we used to have community in the office or community
Right.
with the people you saw every day when you're going to grab lunch at the same spot.
yeah.
So now we have to develop these communities outside, whether that's with the biker gang like AB and his crew, running amok on the streets, or in the yoga studio, same thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at modern business leadership, and especially in the entrepreneurial space, how often the leaders, they have a fairly balanced attitude towards life, in terms of their mental well-being, but also their physical well-being and their social connections. As we kind of live, accomplish difficult things, it can be quite easy. You can get drawn into the world of work, and that can overtake everything. But if there's one thing that increasingly I can see the pattern is that those people who are successful, actually they find the time to do other things that are important, connect with their
Mhm.
family, go out and have exercise. So it's very interesting. Michael, it's lovely to hear that you play soccer. Obviously, me from England, this is obviously something that I was brought up doing, but it's great to speak to you that you're also in that.
Who's your club, Andy? Sorry to cut you off there. Who do you support?
Liverpool Football Club is
good year for you then, huh?
Yeah, you may have heard of them. My son and I, we have kind of tickets that allow us to go to the European matches and the FA Cup matches. So we're regular kind of attendees there, and we've seen some joyous occasions in the last few years. So
Avi and I, this must have been 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were at the first leg of the Barcelona-Liverpool Champions League tie, which was, I'm a Barca supporter, so like it was absolute bliss, and it was just an amazing, you're in Camp Nou and the crazy atmosphere, and of course they go back to Anfield and whatever happened there.
My son and I went to the game at Anfield, and coincidentally, I actually recorded, quite how I don't know, but the third goal, I've got a snippet of me recording that. We both went there without thinking we were going to do anything special. We were just going to be knocked out. So it was one of the most joyous couple of hours I've ever had, and I was lucky to do it with my son. So that was fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, let me rein it back in a little bit and go back to the business. So I believe you've recently expanded from personal flood into the commercial flood space. So what's that expansion been like for the two of you?
It's bringing on a similar product, but in a different manner. So commercial, we have our bread and butter has always been residential. Agents have been asking us for more products. They like working with us. They like the way we support them, and they wanted more. And we hear that loud and clear. We wanted to make sure that our foundation is solid before adding another product, if you will, or another line of business. But commercial has been great. We recently added it on. We have a newsletter that goes out once a month, and the acceptance of it has been great. And it comes with having a great underwriting team as well. Adam, one of our lead underwriters, he is passionate. He's been with us from day one. So to have someone like that allows us to then bring another product like commercial in, knowing that the agents that we work with are going to have the same experience that they've been having with the residential side.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know your business makes use of kind of social media as part of how you get your name out there. And have you noticed any difference in how you use social media for commercial business as opposed to kind of personal lines?
Social media itself has changed a little bit. Things have to be straight to the point. Like what we're doing today, this is a live environment. It's not pre-recorded. And I think audiences want information right away. They don't want to read a paragraph or click into another website. Give me the information, give it to me now, and give me options and let me decide.
Yeah.
I think we're in an interesting time in social media or marketing in general, because there are so many great AI tools that are available. So the space, if you will, is going to be flooded with content. So I think we're going to see this flood of content, and then people are going to reverse and kind of want to distill it a little bit and say make it even more simple or consume a little bit less. So I'm really interested to see how that piece evolves, because you used to need a marketing firm to get a solid message out and to reach all the channels, and you can be in any industry a one-person shop and build a business with social media.
Yeah, it's evolved a lot. Speaking of that, the social media, what would you say is the most overused phrase in insurance today? Like the one that just curls your toes?
So it's good and bad. I think it's AI right now.
Yeah.
But we
around AI.
Yeah, but we use AI, right?
Right.
So I think it's AI when it's disingenuous. There's early last year, any service offering website changed like overnight, and it's no longer like a data analysis company. It's like, we're a data analysis company leveraging AI. Like, okay, this is good. This is great. What does it mean? Are you using AI in a very basic way? Is AI you're using actually machine learning? Do you have a chat bot? Or are you like really have some crazy underwriting tool that is analyzing, first floor elevation or whatever foundation type? So I think when we overuse phrases, and it always happens, I think the same thing happened with green. There was this green movement like 20 years ago where things were marketed as green and the intentions were good, but over time it gets taken advantage of. So things that aren't green are marketed as green because by law, it's hard to control that. So I think we're in that stage of like, all right, we're all using AI and we're all saying we're using AI, but the more we say it without defining how we use it, the more complicated the message gets, and people that don't understand AI are going to shut down and just believe it's all, marketing tactics.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
We hear.
interesting because sometimes people are talking about AI, and actually, it's an algorithm that might be even 20 years old. It's just one of those kind of hype areas. Yeah, I remember 10, 15 years ago, blockchain was going to be the
Yes.
future, and that kind of disappeared. I think with AI, we know it's going to be here. We know that it's got a future, and it's one of those things. It's an amplifier, so it will amplify good things and it will amplify bad things. So, that's gives us a lot of cause for positive optimism and also some things to worry about. So. But yeah, I can't go to a meeting without AI coming up, and quite often we then talk about something that isn't about AI as a consequence. So,
Yeah.
since we're in the kind of the world of AI risk, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done? So, like changing the tone of and I'll fill the gap here to allow you to think. What's the most adventurous thing you've done, either inside or outside of work?
Well, I'm gonna say, for me, it's outside of work, because inside of work, every day is different. Every day is a new adventure. But I went on a 5-day backpacking trip in Chile and Patagonia. So you kind of get off the airport. It's at the edge of the earth, and you're in for something when you look at the airport, and it's more research planes than like passenger planes. So, you get out of the airport and the wind's whipping, and that's when the journey started. It was great. Yeah, it's awesome. Super glad I did
That
it.
sounds incredible.
I'd say the same. Travel is a big part of
Yeah.
our lives. Seeing different countries around the world. Vietnam with the family was amazing. Being in parts of Turkey with Mike and parts of my wife's family together in Cappadocia, where these chimneys that grow from the ground, unlike any other scenery I've ever seen. And then seeing these hot air balloons rising from the ground at 5 in the morning was just surreal. One of the best sights I've ever seen. So adventures outside of work and traveling is what I would say.
Andy, that's right in your world. You love to travel as well.
Yeah, I've been blessed to kind of have the opportunity to travel a lot, and you learn that people are different, but they're also the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, deep down, there might be different cultural things, but actually, when you get to know people, they have the same kind of ambitions and fears, and the more you travel, the more you appreciate the kind of humanity is a single group of species, and the more we need to kind of work together. That's the thing that I've kind of learned from my traveling. So yeah, that sounds like a fabulous trip. 5 days backpacking, Michael, was sounds a real adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. Outside of my comfort zone for sure. But Andy, to your point, like what you say, like humanity is overwhelmingly good.
Yeah,
People want love. People want companionship. People want to feel a part of something. Unfortunately, we hear a lot about the bad, because that's what gets stories. But like you say, when you travel and you go around, friend is a friend. Love is love. Like everyone is looking for these same basic things. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
I agree.
So, if I were to ask you, what would be one piece of advice that you would give someone entering in the world of insurance for the first time? What would that be? It's kind of a broad question to ask, but obviously, insurance continues to grow, and we've got new people constantly entering this. So, what would be the one piece of advice that you could give?
For me, it's find something that's not being done currently today. There's so many
Yeah,
options in the insurance world. Go
right.
find something that you're passionate about, whether it's on the agent side or the carrier side, and finding those niches and definitely working out efficiencies. I know we just spoke about AI, but determining how you can incorporate technology into what you're doing and make yourself efficient in whatever your role is, and learn as much as you can from mentors. Don't be scared to ask questions. Join a lot of groups. And when you wake up in the morning and you're nervous about something, that means you're doing something great that day.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'd say be patient. Insurance as an industry is slow moving. Now we can operate within insurance in a much faster pace depending on what you're doing. but you have to learn insurance to be in insurance, and that takes time.
It does.
So be patient. This isn't like other industries where you can jump in and just sprint from day one after a 2-week training program. But once you're in it because not a lot of people take the time to learn the nuances of the industry and how it works. And the longer you're in it, the more enjoyable it gets, because it still is very much, no matter how much technology is involved, no matter how much, people are leveraging this and that, it's a people business. So the people that, on the tech side that you do business with, the agents that distribute your products, the support that you have, for us back in London or whatever, domestic support, carrier support you have, it's still a people business. And that's, I think, the most rewarding piece, is just, making friends and doing business with people that you enjoy.
I would agree. Yeah. Connecting everything. Patience. You're right. There's a lot of patience for insurance.
Well, that's terrific. There's some brilliant advice, especially that bit you kind of hinting there, Michael, that once you're in insurance, you can't leave.
I know.
And I'm in my 38th year, so it kind of feels a little bit like that. Once you're in, you're in. But actually, it takes time. It's both quick and slow at the same time.
And that's whatever, right? Like, pick something and be good at it, because you will love it over time. So if you have the luxury of being able to choose your career, I think sometimes people really get stuck. Like, I have to pick the perfect career that I'm going to love forever. And it just doesn't exist. So it's like, pick something, get really good at it, and you're going to enjoy what you're doing because you're good at it and you're working with quality people.
Well, that's fantastic. Terrific. And hey, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you, Mike and AB, for joining us. We really appreciate you spending time sharing about how Flow Flood keeps policies undercover, how you as two individuals have grown and developed as entrepreneurs. So until next time, this is Andy Watts.
And Katie Murray.
From Undercover.
With INSTANDA. Thank you.